Hi everyone. It's the most beautiful day outside, so if you decide to spend today outside, go for it. I think it's lovely. If you've got a bit of time and you want to spend it inside and you want to paint, then this is the perfect, easy half an hour painting to start with. Easy acrylics, city skyline. So without further ado, let's get going. Right, we're going to take the background brush. That's this one. Put the background in first. So it's actually the biggest brush that you have. That's the one that we're going to use for the buildings. So the biggest brush that you have to cover the canvas as fast as possible. That's the one we're going to use. Okay, now from the palette. As I said for the previous ones, when you mix your colors, always mix the dark. I'm going to wet my brush. You guys wet your brush. I'm drying mine off because my paint is very liquid. Yours might not be. When you mix a dark color or a light color, you actually have to mix the darker color into the lighter color slowly. So I'm going to put a little bit of that darker color in my mixing palette area. And I want to make a light blue for the sky. So it means I'm going to take a little bit of the white and add it to this blue until I'm happy with my white. And I'm not going to use all the white. I'm happy with my light blue. I'm happy with that light blue. When you're happy with yours, I've still got white left for the rest of the painting. So when you're happy with yours, take that. We're going to give ourselves a horizon like we did in the last one, and the horizon is going to be below the medium line. So where you have halfway on your canvas, your horizon is going to be below that, slightly below. So it's about 2/3 of the way down the canvas, and I'm going to paint all the way across with my light blue. The water underneath is going to be even lighter, so don't make this too light, because you're going to have to make the water a little bit lighter than that.
Maybe a bit more white.
And remember, nothing's ever wrong, so you can always add more color in as you go. I'm going to paint everything all the way up to the top of the canvas now with that blue that I've made. And as I said, I don't mind streaks in it, so if you want it nice and solid blue, then mix a lot of that color first and keep it that color all the way through. But I'm actually mixing my colors as I speak. So I'm getting a few little streaks and different sets, different colors in my sky. If you've got a canvas that is a stretched canvas, you're going to have your top and your sides that you need to paint as well. If it's a board you're using or a paper, obviously this is not for you. But I'm going to paint my sky across the top of this canvas. Make sure I cover it all. And I'm going to paint it around the sides too. And make sure I cover the sides as well. So I've got a 3D image that I'm painting here. On that side. Make sure it's all covered and all equal. There we go. Okay, when you've got that, your color there, all of the bottom of the canvas here, we're going to paint in a lighter blue color. So I've got my palette here that I've mixed that blue. I'm going to add lots more white. So it's a much, much lighter blue. And I'm going to use that much lighter blue and paint all of the bottom of this canvas with the lighter blue.
Can you take a picture live? No, not yet. I will do it when.
And then because I've got a stretch canvas, I'm painting down the sides as well for that. So I'm going to paint down the side with the lighter blue. You can see there's a definite line for that. I'm painting across the bottom.
Does that look good? Yeah. I don't think that's lighter with some, then use some more white and just go over it. Yeah. Just with white. Yeah. Just dip it in it and then just take it and mix it in on there.
And you will get messy hands, which is absolutely fine. You can wash them afterwards. So that's all my canvas painted all the way around. You can see there's a definite horizon there. For clouds, I've washed my brush off, so I don't have any blue left on it. I'm going to just load up some white on this brush. Same brush, nice big one. And you have to remember that clouds are, the sun is shining from the top. So the top of the cloud is normally a little bit brighter and lighter than the bottom of the cloud. And they're not, remember I told you that your brain tricks your eye and makes you think that clouds look like a blob and a blob and a blob. That's not how clouds actually look. All right, they're because they're formed by wind, they're blown all over the place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that first blob that I put there, and I'm going to do some round movements like that with my brush, bringing that cloud down a little bit. I'm going to take that blob and I'm going to put some round movements around there. And I'm going to do the same with this blob. Do some round movements.
So do round movements.
You can see my sky, my clouds have almost blended in a bit. This is where you take that dry brush and you use that dry brush and just blend the bottom of your cloud into your sky. I might have to take a little bit of water because I think mine's dried a little bit. There we go. Blend that in to the sky, blend that in. I've only got one nice big dark, well, light white cloud there. If I wanted a little bit more highlight on the clouds on the right-hand side here, I'm going to put some more white on my brush and do that scumbling motion again, like that.
So then,
and then blend those clouds in with this brush, that dry brush. So I've got this sunshine across the top of my clouds, and you see they're all funny shapes, they're all different shapes. The wind's blowing them all ways. Your clouds are your own. You can be creative with your clouds, so do whatever you want. You can put some in the front as well.
My clouds are blue.
I'm going to put some in the front there. Be creative. It's your picture. And I'm going to wet my brush, dry that off, and then the first one I want to load on is blue. Now you can make a purple. If you want, you can make a purple by taking a little bit of the blue and then a little bit of the red, mix it together to give you purple. That looks pretty black on there, but it actually is purple in front of me. Add a bit more red. There we go. Where my horizon is, what I want to do is I want to paint my first building, and I'm going to use the top of this brush as the top of the building. So try and keep that horizontal, and all you do is you pull that down like that to your horizon. So you've made a box. I'm going to put another purple one on the right-hand side here, slightly higher maybe than that one. Pull that down to the horizon. So the top of my building is horizontal to the canvas. It's a nice, easy brush to use. I have to wash that brush off now because I'm going to do something slightly lighter. I'm going to do the blue. I'm going to wash that brush, dry it off until I've got no purple in there, and I'm going to load it up with plain blue. and I'm going to put a blue building. I think I'm going to put a blue building around the side here. You guys, if you don't have this, don't bother, but I'm going to, because mine's a 3D picture, I'm putting a blue building on that side of this canvas, like so. So I got a blue building there. I'm going to put a smaller blue building on this side here. You can make yours taller, smaller, as long as they're all different sizes. All different levels. We're doing a city skyline. Maybe I'll make this one a little bit fatter by putting another little line beside it. Just remember, keep your building flat across the top. And I think I'll put another blue building on this side here because I can. Make that one a little bit fatter too. So I've just taken it down to my horizon. The next color for me is going to be a mix of the blue and the green. So I'm going to take a bit of that blue, put it in the green section, and add a bit of green to it to make a dark turquoise color. I'm going to put a turquoise color building next to that one. The plain green now. Don't use too much paint because it might just blob too much on the top. So when you load your brush up with paint, and I've put just plain green on it now, you can actually wipe the green off on the side of your palette or on there. Make sure that you've only got a little bit of green on the paint, on the brush. I'm going to put a green building here. And maybe a smaller green building there. So you see, I'm making my skyline interesting. I'm giving it shape. Right, I'm going to go to a lighter green, which means I'm going to add some yellow to that green that I've just done. So I'm going to make a nice lime green. Can you see? I've added some yellow there. I'm making a lime green. I want my lime green building to be there. Now, before we mix too many other colors, maybe what we should do, because from here I'm going to go into yellows and reds. So while we've still got this kind of color blend on our brush, why don't we put our water reflections in? So while I've got the lime green on my brush, water reflection underneath, if you watch this, I'm going to keep my brush horizontal, and where my building ends, I'm actually just going to do a few little stripes. Wiggle my brush down a little bit like that to give me a reflection in the water. And as I said, while you've still got all of those blends in your palette, go back and put in all the other colors that you've got. So there's a plain green. I'm going to wiggle that in. I don't want it to go where your building goes taller. Make your reflection taller in the water. So you're going to do a reflection that's almost exactly the same as what you've got above. This green one here is around that tall. So I'm going to wiggle that reflection in there. And I've got some blue, so I'm going to load up some more blue and I'm going to wiggle that in there. That's a small building, so I'm not going to go too far with that one. This big blue building here, that goes to around there. So you can see I'm doing a mirror reflection. And I've added a lot more water onto my paint brush for these because it's slightly lighter as it comes towards you. You can see if I hold this up closer, my reflections are a little bit more watery. I have a plain blue one here. So I'm going to do that around the side here. I'm going to do a reflection for that plain blue one around the side of my canvas. And nothing there yet. I'm going to put a red one there. My turquoisey color. That's longer than all of them. And then I made that purple color. So let me add a little bit more water to that purple color. So it's a little bit lighter. And then I'm going to wiggle in a reflection of that there. And here as well, but this is a smaller one, so I'm going to do smaller there. So I'm going to load up only yellow on this brush. I've washed my brush off and I've made sure it's nice and dry and clean. You guys don't have to dry your brush off if you want it to be a little bit more wet, but make sure it's not too wet. You don't want it to dribble on your canvas, okay? Make sure that the paint is fairly dry. I want this one perhaps to be around about there. I'm going to make this one a little bit fatter again. Like so. Now you can get creative and do some chimneys on top of some of these or other little blocks of building on top. So I can do something a little bit creative and do sideways block on top of this one. It's totally up to you. But this is my skyline. So when I do the yellow on this, I'm going to go down and put my yellow wiggles like that, and I'm going to put a few little tiny yellow wiggles to reflect that top bit. The next one's going to be orange. So as I said before, when you mix your colors, take a little bit of the red, put that into the yellow palette section, a little bit of yellow, mix that until you have a nice orange, an orange that you like. I quite like that orange, so I'm going to use that one. Right, this one's going to be a little bit smaller for me, so I'm going to do a little small building like so. Maybe slightly different from that one there, slightly bigger. And I think I'm going to do another orange one. I'm going to do something different with this orange one. I'm going to make it the same length as the green one, but I'm going to give it a bit of a spire. So sideways, sideways. So my city skyline is looking a little different there. And then do my reflections under those as well. Reflection, put that in there. Reflection of this one. And because this one's a little bit higher, I'm going to make my reflection go off into a point, like that. And the last one for me is going to be the red one. So wash the brush off, make sure there's no orange left on it. And I've got red for my next one. I'm going to do a little tiny building here. Little red one. And because I've got this section here, I'm going to do a red building around this side. Like that. Put my reflection in on that side there. A little bit of a red reflection in there. Where your horizon is, or where your buildings go into the, this is why you didn't have to worry too much about the bottom of the buildings, where they go into the water area, I'm going to put my horizon back with this black and go straight across the canvas with black, like that. If your paints are still a little bit wet, it's fine. Just give yourself a horizon to work from. And when they're dry, you go back and put that horizon in a little bit stronger. So I'm making quite a thick horizon all the way across there.
It's terrible from this.
And I've gone around the side as well. I'm going to add a few more light lines of that, just a few simple little lines of that black, because that's also a reflection in the water. So underneath I'm putting a few little lines of that black to show that that's also a reflection in the water. And with the small brush, now we're going to put windows into our buildings. And these are also all your own creation. Now most buildings have windows directly underneath each other. So I'm going to start putting some blobs into there. Can't quite see them because that's quite a dark color, but let's move on and put some in here. I'm going to make these ones wider, longer. Like so, and maybe I'm going to put some bigger, fatter ones down below them. This is my cityscape. This is my next one's a tall one, so I'm going to put lots of little windows in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My cityscape. There you go. This one might have different windows, so I'm going to do different windows on this one. 1, 2, and maybe some longer ones. So once I've put all of my windows in and even around the side, what do I want on this one? I want long windows on this one. One on either side. These guys don't believe in giving their workers light.
Oh no.
There we go. Right, that's my cityscape. Basically done. What I would like to do is I want to put a few white lines in my water. So I've washed my brush off very nicely and I'm only loading white onto this little brush. And I'm going to do a few white stripes across my water like this. Sideways across my water to show that my water is rippling. Like that. And if you can see them clearly, because the blue's quite light. That's my cityscape. So I'm done.
Oh,
Nice and easy.
yes.
Last thing I need to do is sign it. So I'm going to take some blue and sign it. Let me do that. Yoo-hoo.